Welcome to Imperial Interlude. This is a long and exhausting weekend for me because I have the day off tomorrow. And with me is Ralph. Hello, Ralph.
Hi, Tim.
And you did some hobby today, and
I did.
today we are talking about episode 4 on the Bad Batch.
Yeah, and I think we're also going to mention about the large pieces of plastic that we got in the post this week.
Yes, and one thing we forgot the last 2 episodes.
What's that?
Spoiler warning! Dang it!
Yeah.
We are going to talk about an episode that is recent. If you haven't seen it, stop this episode, watch the episode, and come back. We won't hold back with content of the show simply for sake of argument. So, you have been warned. Get out, watch it, come back, listen. So,
Step away from the podcast.
This was a rather short one, wasn't it?
It was 30 minutes.
24.
Was it 24?
It was very short.
I thought was it last week's was 31 minutes?
Yeah, this week's was 24 and a bit. It was a very short one.
Yeah, it was another one I think that was just world building.
Yeah, a bit.
There was a bit of world building. There was a bit of an introduction to a character that we have seen.
Yeah,
was never named, which was
bring
interesting.
another character within the universe that is the Bad Batch, and make the Bad Batch feel like, yes, we're being hunted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but it was interesting that the character they introduced, she was never named.
No, but she has a fair, let's call it, resemblance to...
Yeah, well, we all know who it is. You know, we all know we've seen the character before, and we knew the character was coming, but she was actually never named, unless she's named in the credits, which I never checked.
So didn't I, but I guess we can... Well, if Star Wars does one thing consistently, special characters get a one-off design, and that is permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at how long has Han Solo wore his black vest and white undergarments.
Very true. Very true. I'll let you start. You can start with what went on.
Well, basically, it's starting a rather, let's call it, boring way. They need a planet to land on to make repairs and get resupplied, because they're simply running out of rations, which immediately triggers the big boy going, "Oh God, I'm starving, I'm going to die." And yeah, they make way to the nearest planet and land in a typical Star Wars landing pad. And did you notice the little toy the port guard was playing with?
Wasn't it I'm trying to think.
I had to look it up because I knew I had seen that ship design. I thought it was something from Star Wars Armada, but it wasn't.
Is it from...
It is a personal luxury yacht 3000 from Soro Soup Corporation. And that thing makes appearances all over the place.
Is that... It's not the one that they had Lando Calrissian riding at one point?
Yes.
In the
yes, they had.
The Lady Luck, as it was called.
Yes. And also the Jade's Fire from Mara Jade Skywalker. Yeah. And it appeared in Clone Wars. It appeared in several comics, and also the Young Jedi Knight books. So that's a design that is around a bit now.
Well, I've just checked here while we were talking there, and I've just loaded up the credits, and the character is named in the credits.
Well, then give us the name.
Fennec Shan.
Dang it!
Indeed, but she's actually named in the credits.
Yeah,
but she was never named in the episode.
Well,
which is interesting.
This could be just them being writers being dramatic.
Yeah,
but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are getting ahead of ourselves.
So,
not really, because as you said, they sort of split the party, don't they? They do the whole split the party thing.
We weren't at that point. They just landed, and then the what do you call them? The guy that works in the landing pad.
I mean the The deep. It says here depot manager.
Yeah, well, let's go with depot manager then. So he wants to scan the ship, and one of the reasons they are actually landing is they want to scramble their identification code to be harder to detect. And he wants to scan the code, and that would give him a way to the Empire. And since intimidation doesn't work, they need to pay him off. And
yeah, they bribe him with what little money credits, whether they're Imperial credits or Galactic
I'm guessing
credits.
those are still Imperial credits. And after that, the our big brute and our computer
Wrecker and Tech.
Wrecker and Tech. Why do these names are so hard on me? I can't tell you. So they stay behind to refit the ship with a scrambled signal, while the rest goes off to town trying to get some resources.
Echo, wasn't it? But what was cool about Echo is he turned himself into a droid. Put down that helmet and things.
Yeah, just a helmet. Now he's a droid.
Yeah.
And the moment they leave the hangar, the manager calls somebody we don't see immediately and just says they're here.
Yeah. So we know that there's a bounty on, or we assume. I don't think it's been said. There's a bounty on them, but
no, but
it's been mentioned. I think that we sort of guessed that.
Yeah, and
a bounty on them.
The later we learn that they aren't really after the Bad Batch, but simply after one character.
Do you want to say who?
Spoilers! It's the little girl, of course. Yeah. Who would have thought?
Which assumes then that the people that have put the bounty on them are the Kaminoans.
Very highly likely.
So that leads back into last week's episode where they were on about a DNA. They wanted a DNA thing, didn't they?
Yeah.
They wanted a perfect DNA.
So some new strains to
strand.
Bring up their game of recreating the perfect clone.
Exactly. So the three of them, the Omega, Hunter, and Echo, go off and go into the town. They come across a vendor where they go to try and sell some tech, I think it is.
Explosives.
Is it explosives?
Yeah, it's an explosive charge, because that's the same one he later uses in the
chase.
Upcoming events.
Yeah. So he tries to sell that, and he says the price, but the vendor goes on the black market. While he's doing that, Omega is looking around the store and finds a toy.
Yeah, which looks like
an action figure.
Yeah, it looks like a doll version of a clone trooper.
Knocks something over. The vendor, of course, goes, you break it, you buy it. And then going past her is a cart with some puppies.
Yeah, some creatures that resemble dog puppies.
We've seen them before. Those creatures have turned up in an animated series before.
Possibly in a similar fashion somewhere.
Yeah, the same as the Sorosov ship has. So she gets distracted by that, of course, and wanders off. While
no, she doesn't get distracted. The puppy, quote unquote, nicks the doll she has in her hand, and then the hover vehicle moves on, and she follows them to get back the doll.
Did it? I must have missed that, because I thought she was just petting it and then went off and she wanted to follow it.
The little doggy thing snagged the doll out of her hand, and then she ran after them for quite some time.
We've seen these creatures.
Enlighten us.
Resistance.
Yeah, that was the direction what I was going for.
Yeah, they're in Resistance. They're in Star Wars Resistance. So that's the first time we see them. It was Resistance. They also turned up in Disney Infinite 3.0, which is the video game.
Yeah, I know about that one. I still have that around for my Nintendo Wii U.
Yeah, they turned up in in Resistance. They're called the Vorpax. 6-legged humanoid. Well, it says carried by a humanoid, had 6 legs and purple urine. But yeah, I just
Too much details.
too much detail on Wikipedia. It was just when I saw them, I went, I recognize them, but where the hell do I recognize them from? Yeah, it's Resistance.
I think that's is going to be a problem with more and more side characters that are introduced into the animation series, because it's too easy to reuse these assets at some point, and if you have seen them, why the hell you will recognize them, and the universe will feel much more lived.
Yeah, definitely. So she goes off chasing after the cart with it in, and then bumps into someone who knocks her down and tells her, basically yells at her almost, and then is helped up by, of course, the character that we saw,
Fennec Shand, and
Yep.
she is not wearing her helmet and is being very kind. So she's not what you would have expected to be a bounty hunter, just grabbing the girl and running away. She tries to lure her away from the rest of the team.
Yeah, that they have the conversation, that's sort of with her and Omega, and then meanwhile back at the vendor, this is where Hunter sells Echo as a droid for 3,000 credits. During sort of that period of time, which I thought was quite fun, where I'm worth more, basically, as Echo sort of whispers to Hunter.
It's yeah, I'm worth more than that situation.
Yeah. And then when Hunter turns, he finds out Omega's gone and starts rushing off to look for her.
Yeah, and at that point, things start turning weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's as they're doing that, I think it before, maybe during, after that sort of thing, they cut back to the ship with Wrecker and Tech, basically Tech pointing to Wrecker, I need that removed and that removed. So basically those two are...
Yeah, and he's not just removing them, he's really ripping them out.
Yeah, he's literally ripping the ship apart. And then we sort of cut back to Hunter chasing down after Omega.
I think we missed one of the most fun parts in the whole episode, which is similarly the simultaneously the biggest plot hole in the whole episode, for me at least.
Was that the Echo being thrown into the back?
Yeah,
with a restraining bolt on.
Not only that, but when he gets into the back, the C3 unit is giving him a hard time, saying, "No, I'm the head of protocol here," and then he pulls out his gun. Have you ever seen a droid carrying a gun and the owner not taking the gun from the droid?
Well, yes, we have seen droids carrying guns, but...
Yeah, but they didn't have owners. They were self-propelled.
Yes. The IG unit seems to carry a gun, but of course he is a self-aware.
The minute he pulled the gun on the poor protocol droid, I really thought to myself, guys, couldn't you have done it in any other way? It's not very believable for a droid to carry a sidearm when he's being sold. Well,
it happens, doesn't it? You know? Remember, they're not written for us, Tim.
No, they're not.
They're not written for grumpy old men.
No, you just talk about yourself
then. But then, of course, we get the chase between Hunter towards Omega, and I think Hunter gets Omega to run away as he's fighting Shan.
Yeah, he comes around the corner, and Omega, not suspecting anything bad, realizes that Hunter's acting very strangely, and then it comes to a short standoff between Fennec and Hunter, while Omega then makes a run for it.
Mm-hmm. And then Omega comes across a manhole, doesn't she, when she's hiding from hiding from Shan as she
Yeah.
opens fire on Hunter, and then Omega runs off, and Shan chases after her, but
At the
she
same
escapes down.
at the same time, Hunter messages the
Mhm.
two that are stripping apart the ship to get the ship running again,
Yeah, because they
which
have to leave.
which is a bit of a problem, and they would need quote unquote an army of astromechs.
Yeah, they need a repair crew pretty much, and then of course this is where Echo comes to the rescue with the droids, and as he walks out of
Yeah,
the
because
shop, he goes,
in the
"You've got a
back of
good
that
deal."
ship owner is not only the protocol droid, but two R2 units and another weird looking
R2
unit.
unit that wasn't really, because it was the same sort of dome shape, but had legs, not
Yeah.
wheels. Yeah, and arms. But it was interesting when Echo comes out of there, he turns to the shop owner, pops his helmet up, and goes, "You've got a good deal," and then just continues going as the shop owner is going, what's going on here?
It's very it's all over the place.
Yes, it is that. So we have the droids and Echo heading to help repair the ship. We also have Omega running down into the sewers, or well, not really sewers, whether it was just like
Maintenance.
maintenance areas,
Yeah.
and then Hunter contacting the other ones, and as the Omega's down in the underground tunnel, she comes across Wrecker.
Yeah, and Wrecker then tries stopping Fennec, which doesn't really go well for him.
that was the one that pulled me out a little bit, because he's been shown to be this, he's supposed to be this bruiser, this very
but
not very intelligent, but he was knocked out even though he was wearing his helmet.
Yeah, but also he went on full hawk towards her, and she just redirected his force into a corner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you go full force and knock yourself into a wall, you're going to be knocked out for a bit.
It was just a little thing because supposedly he was wearing the armor, the armor, and supposedly
but maybe if he hadn't worn his helmet, it would be a bit more believable. But then again, it's not for us.
It's not for us. No, it's not. It's not progressing the story forward. But then of course, Omega climbs up a ladder, and I think she thought it was going out at the same floor level.
Yeah, and she ends up on top of the
tower.
Of a maintenance tower, which she then quickly closes and locks the hatch behind her.
Yeah,
which buys her some time.
And then during that time, of course, Hunt has managed to hop onto a bike, hasn't he? When he's sort of looking for her, because he doesn't know where Shan and Omega have gone, does he? He's sort of still looking for them.
Yeah, and all the while there's Tech looking through the cameras that are plastered all over the city to follow along where everybody is.
Yeah, and then we get Hunter stealing this guy's bike, which typical sort of.
It's a speeder bike.
It was more the fact this guy pulls up on Swoop or speeder bike and leaves it sort of there as he goes to the shop, so somebody could easily jump on it and fly away with it.
That's something I always found interesting, that in the very far future there is nothing like an ignition key, but also no way seemingly of keeping people out of your car.
There is that. It's like it's all done, isn't it? It's like I'll just go to park here. I know what we what is it? We live in a universe where everything is okay. Nobody's going to steal anything.
We totally didn't have just a civil war, and absolutely there's no black market.
Yeah. And during that time, of course, is Shan's managed to blast open the door and grab Omega, who had
nearly falls down.
Nearly falls down.
And then there's a trolley coming along.
It's a hover truck.
Yeah, and she tells her So Fennec tells Omega to roll when she lands, and then she falls, lands on the truck. Fennec gets back on the truck, and Hunter is doing what he's doing best. He's hunting them.
He is, because the reason that she does that, of course, is the fact that Fennec looks over and sees Hunter coming to her, so she throws Omega into the truck, telling her to duck and roll. I think it is.
Yeah.
Tuck and roll, and then she shoots, I think, and then jumps into the truck. I think there's a little bit of a couple of shots aimed at Hunt, and then she jumps because he has to sort of avoid, and then come up, and Fennec starts shooting again, and then that's when Omega sort of scrabbles to the top of the truck and pulls the lever to sort of empty it.
Yeah, and then the back part just rises as a dump truck usually does.
Yeah. And then we cut to the driver inside listening to some tunes.
He's a very chillaxed guy.
He is, isn't he? And then, of course, we have basically the ensuing fight between Fennec and Hunter. Just Fennec trying to shoot off, basically shoot at Hunter. Then we have some basically local security officers turn that she deals with, which I thought was quite. It was like shoot one, then the bike crashes into the other one, takes them out. It was like it was very Boba Fett shooting the
driver,
shooting the troop transport with one of his rockets.
Yeah,
and having the other one fall into it, but there was none of it. I was aiming for the other one.
Yeah, and then there was one scene again where Wrecker sees all the local police going by him. Oh no, I'm missing all the fun again.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm missing all the fun. And as he's heading back to the ship, we then get, of course, Hunter gives chase, and he starts shooting Black, and he blasts the engines of the stolen speeder they're on. Because Fennec gets onto a speeder, I think.
Yeah, at some point they drop from the lorry and go into another speeder vehicle of weird description.
Yep.
And she throws the driver out, and then Hunter is keeping shooting at her and misses her closely.
Mm-hmm. And then shoots the engines, and then throws the explosives on the speed after he picks up Omega.
Yeah. And at that point, Fennec jumps off the speeder and basically has lost the hunt.
Yeah, we get the big explosion, and then Clone Force 99 everybody back in the big explosions, and then we get everybody back into the sort of the dock where they are, and up and
just
off
the time for the repairs to be finished.
Yeah. Very good, that, isn't it? That's where we get the thing, of course, where Echo turns around to the protocol drones, goes, right, you're back in charge, and then
and she goes, you heard him, I'm back in charge, back to the shop.
Yeah. And then they all take off and head off.
Yeah, and not to forgetting the poor man that has sold the information to Fennec about their whereabouts, coming out running, no, you can't leave, she hasn't paid me yet.
Yeah, and then we get then we get sort of the end bit of her returning, paying him, and saying if you see them again.
At first, I think he's scared shitless because he thinks he's going to get
killed.
Yeah, some bill to pay because he let them leave. But she just says, no, if they return, you know where to find me.
Yeah, throws him some credits, and then that's it. And basically, that's the end of the episode. So we don't really find out who Fennec's working for.
No, but she sends off a message at the very last, going, "Target has escaped, but I will find her."
Yes, I'm wondering. It was a good episode, I mean, it was another,
It was a tight story with not much in it, but the execution of the chasing scenes was well done. It's
I can't really knock the animation and stuff like that for it, because I think they've come on leaps and bounds, because this is all built off season 7 of Clone Wars. you know, and compared to say the first season of Clone Wars to season 7, you know, is night and day, and then
Yeah.
you know you've got this just exponentially adding to that, to the quality of that, you know,
And
and
I
then you know
think
the
if
writing as well.
and I think if they would have dragged out the story anymore, it would have been feeling too long, because it's basically we land, we try to fix our ship, we have a little chasing scene, we run away again.
Yeah, so there's there's nothing to knock really. There's nothing there. It wasn't, you know, you could call it a filler episode, but I would say it was more of a story. It was an introductory episode to introduce the character Fennec, who we'd all known from The Mandalorian anyway.
Yeah, and
But
also I think it's an episode to put more pressure on the team to show
Mhm,
how vulnerable they are, even now more so that they don't have any funds that they
mhm,
can use to buy new equipment. So
yeah,
they are running on fumes.
mhm. Yeah. So maybe the next episode will be them getting their first job, because I think that's coming up.
Yeah, that was in
You
the
know,
trailer, and we hadn't seen that yet.
yeah, we haven't seen that yet, and we haven't seen them meeting who we all assume because of the helmet design, Rex.
Yeah.
So we know that's coming. That might actually be the episode, maybe later on, where they're the ones where Rex mentions about the chip a bit more and possibly having it removed. So Rex might be the key to them getting Crosshair back.
Yeah, it could very well be, or even if not removed, maybe some kind of inhibitor.
Mhm. Yeah. What was interesting though, and even though it wasn't really shown, is the Imperial that was doing the big announcement, the big hollow Imperial,
Mm-hmm.
was that Admiral Rampart again.
Yeah,
She
and
was
you
the one from.
was shown for a brief moment at the
Mhm.
beginning of the episode to
Yeah.
just show how much the Imperial influence is growing all over the place. And
Yeah.
people were happy, they were celebrating because the war is
Yes.
over.
Yes. The war's ended, so everybody's happy, and you know, it's. I guess you know that's the way it goes, isn't it? Really, with them, you know, the war's ended. There's no more, you know,
And to be fair,
none
I
of the
would
fighting.
be very happy if a war that raged on for years is finally ended.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was another good episode. It was another, you know, it was another world building episode, which is fine. You know, I think they've got to do that. They've got to build.
And keeping in mind, if you were to be a, let's say, 10-year-old that is watching
Mhm,
this, such a chasing sequence
mhm.
would keep you on the edge of your seat.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, it's there, and you know, and I think, you know, as we talk about what they're doing with the Bad Batches, there is going to be a lot more episodes possibly like this because of the the
Target
the
them,
lack of information that we have.
possibly.
There's been not a lot of I'm not legend. Well, there's been not a lot of legend stuff, I don't think, after the Clone Wars. That's sort of prior to episodes 3, 4, and 5. There was a lot of legend stuff after those 3 episodes, but there was not a lot sort of during the Rebels era, which is really the only piece of Star Wars pre Episode 4, pre A New Hope we have is really Rebels
Mm.
in this time period, and even then, that's set. Rebels is set about 10 years before Star Wars, the original, because there is an episode called I think the episode's called Twin Sons, when Ezra lands on Tatooine to meet Kenobi. And at the end of that episode, we see a young Luke Skywalker, who we're assuming is about 8 or 9, hearing his aunt shout his name as he runs across, and you get that, you know, the scene of the Twin Sons and the Lars homestead and Luke running
Hmm.
across it. And you get John Williams's, you know, that
Famous
score,
music.
that you get from when Luke's standing out looking, you know, at the Twin Sons and stuff.
That music that pulls everything together
Yeah,
in
that
that.
that Tatooine theme, yeah. So you get that sort of playing as you have this old Obi-Wan, not old, but not as old as he looks in, you know, the things. Kenobi,
Older,
older, yes, Kenobi,
matured.
yes, that's the one. I do recommend, if anybody has never seen that episode of Rebels, to watch it, because it is really good. It ranks up there with someone did this on the internet where they were ranking the lightsaber battles, and they ranked that lightsaber battle that happens in that episode above Ahsoka fighting Maul. Because of the type of battle it is, which is it's very quick. It's 1, 2, I think it's 3 strikes, but it's all of the build up to it. Especially when you look at how Kenobi positions himself, because originally he positions himself as Kenobi from episode 1. Then, he does the Qui-Gon Jinn pose at one point as well. So it's like Kenobi from episode 1, Kenobi from that we recognize, with the 2 fingers. He does another pose as well, and then he does his third pose, which is basically the Qui-Gon Jinn pose, and that's when, for spoilers, people, big spoilers, that's when Maul, because this is where Maul is turned up, eyes widen because he's seen it before, but what he doesn't recognize is the fact that Kenobi knows this and uses that as a way of defeating him. Because if he looks, he does the whole strike as Qui-Gon did, and Maul goes to use the same attack that he used to kill Qui-Gon, but that's when Kenobi slices the lightsaber in half, striking Maul at the same time. Just ending Maul, but that's when Maul asks, is he the chosen one? So that leads into the whole Luke being the chosen one, not Anakin, as you know. But it's a really good episode.
We're getting a bit off here.
We are getting a little bit off there, but that's a little bit of Star Wars knowledge, history, or
trivia for you to Google at.
Yeah, but it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the episode, but I'm enjoying anything with Star Wars. I'm a mark.
Almost anything. I'm guessing there's 1 or 2 things you're not enjoying.
Yeah, the community.
Droids.
They're harmless. That stuff. Droids hasn't turned up yet. It is coming. It's coming at the end of June, I think it is.
What, the old series?
Yes.
Oh god, I need to rewatch that.
We're getting droids because we've already got Ewoks. We've always got the 2 movies as well as the animated series, and we're getting droids. Droids is coming to Disney Plus. I think it's in June.
Oh, this is going to be hilarious.
And that's where Boba Fett turns up
for the first time.
Second. Boba Fett first turns up in the holiday special.
Well, but isn't that technically after the Droid series?
No. Droid animated series was the same time as Ewok. It was the mid-80s. Holiday special was 70.
No, I mean within the universe timeline.
I'm not even sure where the hell
Droids is.
Droids is set supposedly between episodes 3 and New Hope. But yeah, so that would be in canon. Fett would be the first one to turn up there, but in from point of view of where the character appears, but
from actually being shown on screen.
Be shown on screen, he was turned up in the holiday special because that's where they got the tuning fork weapon that the Mando used, and the other thing as well. Yeah, there's something else as well.
Speaking of something else, you mentioned at the beginning of the show something about.
Yes, large pieces of plastic.
Holy shit.
Yes.
So, for all of you folks who haven't gotten to the point yet, Ralph and I are very much fans of the game Star Wars Legion by Atomic Mass Games, and their latest release are 2 enormous-sized vehicles for that game. And I think this is by far the most complex build for any Legion ever. Even the AT-ST wasn't as complex to build as the AA5 or the LAT-LE.
The LAT is... I looked at the box and went, I think that box is bigger than the Saber tank.
It is.
Because I looked at it and went, how much is in this? It's quite... Because I got it in the post, and the box that came in the post was huge. It was like... And there wasn't much packing around it.
So same thing was with me. I ordered one of each, and when the parcel arrived, I said, okay, I can feel that there's not much packing material in it. How bloody big are these? Or did I accidentally buy multiple versions? Nope, just 2 fucking boxes.
Just 2 of the large boxes.
Yeah, let me get measurements for short. So the boxes are 30 centimeters by 23 by 10. And they're stuffed with plastic because both ship designs are similarly done, so that you've got an inner shell and an outer shell, so the assembly goes in sub-assemblies, which theoretically makes painting a lot easier.
Yeah, I was watching the Atomic Mass Games painting, because they their Wednesday and Friday painting that you occasionally gate crash on Twitch.
I never do that.
To leave a message about a certain game that you would like to turn up, that we occasionally pull your leg about. I watched the is it John? I think it might have been John or Dallas was doing a full paint, and he was doing it with airbrush and stuff, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's painted the interior and all of that, and it does look absolutely stunning. But he was showing when to put it together, and it looks like when you put it together, especially because the LAT, it's very modular, which means you don't need to. I looked at it because it's there's lots of pegs in there and stuff, isn't there, for the where the the top piece sits on the cockpit and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't want to glue it, it would snap together, and I think it would hold.
Yeah, that's the thing I found looking at the sprues myself, and I don't know if I can call this a bad design per se, because if you do your models the way you can assemble them without using too much glue and still get away with them looking decent, well, go for it.
Yeah. But I've been looking as well, and I am seriously toying with the idea of painting the interior. Giving myself the challenge of doing that, of painting the interior. I've got some spare clones as well. Some spare Phase 2 clones, and what I was thinking was putting some in the back, so leaving the doors open, and having some clones in the back. But also, I was looking at Drakefire, which is one of the many companies out there that does 3D printing. Does 3D printing models.
Aim.
I know, it's terrible. But
we'll never catch on.
They've got some sitting clones that is for the LAT gunship that you can 3D print. So he's got some, actual clone troopers that are sitting down with their weapons. One of them's aiming his weapon, the other one's sort of looking around. And I was toying with the idea of seeing if the guy in Wales has them on his list to print, and maybe get
a little bit like the minis that are within the Rebel speeder bike.
Yeah. So having it so it looks like that. 2 of the clones maybe with the back doors open, one sitting on one side, one sitting on the other, and then 2 standing up in the back. So that's a 4-man clone unit, which is technically the number of clones that you start with on a card, on a unit card, just to maybe do something different.
Yeah, I was looking at the at both sets, and I must say I don't think I will do this for the LAAT, simply because the interior is too obstructed by most other things. The doors are simply too small. But the AA5 has a fuck ton of space in it.
Yeah, it does, and I mean I've seen other people at the moment who are magnetizing the guns onto the front, using magnets for the ball cannons on the front of the lat.
Yeah.
Putting magnets in so that they can just snap into place, and of course putting LEDs into the cockpit and into the back piece. I've saw a nice one which has got they've got a red LED running for the cockpit, and a red LED, those red LEDs running into the back. So it looks like when you get the like the helicopter.
Yeah, like a night assault. Not much light in it.
So there's the red light. So press on the base, the lights come on, and you've got red LEDs running in it. And they've also put some LEDs into the searchlights at the front. And it was like That's just way too much.
Yeah, I'm still
Too much talent.
I'm still very keen on the idea of making the AA5 into the Winnebago from Spaceballs, because it just screams to me.
What, actually making it as the Winnebago or painting it in the colors of the Winnebago?
The thing is, if you look at the backside where the engine mounts are, there's a section which you can really easily attach plastic card to. So
I was going to say,
making
yeah.
wings for that shouldn't be too hard. And I will try making some cardboard pieces that work as shapes later for cutting out of the PVC.
Yeah.
And then I will try using magnets.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to drill in this kit, because the hull is in two pieces, so you can hide the magnets within the hull.
Within the hull, yeah. So it'll be just.
Technically,
yeah,
theoretically, maybe.
But then that also means what you need to get for it is a alien miniature from either Protoss or from Gale Force 9, so it could be the alien with the top hat going, "Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey."
Well, either that or I need to get a barf.
Yes. I've seen 3D printed Spaceballs characters to Legion scale, and I can't remember where they were. There was a company does them. They've got the STL files, and I think there's somebody that'll print them off.
Yeah, there are things in this universe that are just too much fun to not be done.
Doesn't that make it that becomes your Stargrave crew then?
Technically, yeah, that would have been an idea, because I thought I'd like very much a Stargrave unit being based on the Ice Pirates movie.
Yes, I remember the Ice Pirates movie.
Having a little space herpes as a pet.
That's definitely off topic. But no, it was nice to see them. I wasn't surprised they turned up when they did, because they were supposed to be released on the 21st. That's the date I had down for these large pieces of plastic.
Later last week, the official release date from Asmodee Germany was also made 21st.
So it was nice to see. But I think this now leads into, we may be seeing, because there wasn't really a release date on Yoda, was there?
No, they have been quiet on that front for a lot of things that are upcoming, and I think we need to wait a little bit before they get along. We still are waiting for that very weird second event they were teasing.
Yes.
So maybe there's something along those lines.
But aren't we getting Digital Gen Con as well in August?
Yeah, so I potentially this summer is holding interesting things for us.
Because I think we're due then basically the next lot, and they've said on their stream stuff that this next wave that's coming out, or these next 2 waves, which I'm assuming it's going to be 2 waves, is the Kashyyyk wave, basically, is what they've said. We know the Wookiees, they've shown the Wookiees off with the shields and stuff, or with the surfboards, as somebody said. So we've seen them on their stream. We just haven't seen. Have we seen the Magna? Is it Magnetar or the Magna? The protection droids for Grievous.
The Magna Guard.
The Magna Guard. We haven't seen those on the stream, but we've seen pictures of them. And we haven't even seen the Wookiee Flyer, which we know is coming. Which I'm assuming will probably be about the same length as a speeder bike, I would think, in its length.
Yeah, it was. I think it would be similar.
Yeah, it's not going to be the massive big chunk of plastic that we got with these 2 vehicles. But does this mean now then, with these 2 coming out and they are quite meaty, are they going to start looking at bigger vehicles?
Possibly.
Does this then lead into an Imperial Walker?
Oh, I think that's still off the table, literally for sheer size.
I must admit, I saw today on one of the Facebook groups somebody's posted up pictures of the ATTE that's somebody's 3D printed, and it is big, but it's big enough that you can actually get minis into the cockpit and into the bits behind the cockpit as well, the troop transport, on bases into it to the scale for the thing. So it is quite a meaty chunk of thing to print off on an FDM or on a PLA printer.
It's going to take some days.
Oh yeah, it'll take some days to print. But imagine, if that works for you, imagine if, say, Atomic Mass or got a hold of that and went, yeah, why not? We'll give this a blast, and we'll do a Legion one for the Republic. We'll do, something similar to for the Empire. You never know, you might see a to scale at. You can get a model kit that's roughly to scale.
I would be very afraid of the price bump.
Oh yeah, I could probably see pushing about £100.
Because if you look at the last two we got, they were about €51, and that was as the cheapest price you could get.
Yeah.
And for the same amount of money, you get a Rebel Star Wars 8080 Walker as a proper model kit. And I'm guessing if you put on the gamer tax,
yes, true. I could see pushing 100 euros. Be about 80, 90 quid. From British pounds and stuff. But it would look nice on the table. I think then when you look at the Legion rules, you're looking at what's it called, Grand or Galactic Grand Scale, isn't it? Which is 1,600 points. It's the next one up from Standard, which is 800 points.
Yeah, though
you're looking at that, but imagine the point cost and the devastation it would cause on the table.
And you need a completely different set of table terrain for that.
Yeah, you would. You're not talking your standard, say, 3x4 or 3x3 table, are you? Really, you're talking probably a 6x4.
Yeah, you need a 6x4 and then a lot less terrain.
Well, you could do it with having terrain on them for blocking line of sight, because that might be something that happens, because we're seeing it with coming episode of the Bad Batch, where you've got a 380 TEs attacking a palace, which reminds me of Naboo, but you never know.
Yeah. I say we need to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, definitely wait and see. Because it's going to be what's next. They're doing Kashyyyk in this next sort of batch of 2 releases. So I'm assuming it'll be a batch of 2 releases. It'll be one, around Gen Con time and one near the end of the year. Then what's next?
Star Wars Epic Legion.
But if they don't get around to doing that for you, Tim,
well,
are we then? Is it then going to be back into regular Star Wars with Stormtroopers and stuff like that? And I've got a suspicion they need to, because I think that's one of the things people have been complaining about, hasn't it? There's not been many releases for the classic trilogy. It's all been aimed around the Republic.
I think what the best thing they could do without messing up the meta again with some new units would be to what I often always have been alluding to more than once, is getting troop units out in the field that are basically the same unit type but different poses.
Yeah. So having the ability to customize a stormtrooper unit, different legs, different bodies, different arms, different heads, backpack, accessories. And
I'm pretty sure if they would put out boxes for core troops for all 4 factions without any cards in it, and just going, these are alternative models to be used within your games, they would sell a ton.
Yeah, it saves kit bashing.
it saves kit bashing. You could make them a lot cheaper because you don't have to reinvent the wheel for rules. You could just churn them out. But then again,
well, it's not then allowing people to spend a shit ton of money on on things that they need to buy multiple of to kit bash together. Sorry. Speaks the man with spare phase 1, phase 2, and some spare arc troopers.
Yeah. Well,
You know.
I think we should call it a day for today.
I think so. I think that was the news of this week, of sorts, and the roundup of the episode.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say the next one is if they follow the model of the Mandalorian with going highs and lows. I think the next one will be a bit more interesting.
Yes, I've got a suspicion it's either their first job or maybe an encounter with another character. But I think they might be leaving those character encounters sparingly.
Yeah, I think the next one will be they getting to learn the traits of a trade to get some money back in the bank.
Yep.
So, with that, I thank you, Ralph, for being here. I thank you out there for listening. And we shall be back in a week or so. And until then, stay safe, play games, have fun. Bye.